Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to Passport Adventures. And then if you have not yet filled out your raffle ticket, definitely fill it out. I've got 22 prizes to give away to some educators here. So fill it out. Hopefully you guys can get something good up there. All right, well, and my name is Trisha DePasquale. I am a kindergarten teacher at Our Savior Lutheran down in Plantation, which is Fort Lauderdale area, Plantation, Florida. I love traveling around the world. It's become a passion of mine, something I've been able to do, been blessed to do over the years. But I gotta share something with you guys. This one time my husband and I were on a flight. We were flying from Fort Lauderdale to Detroit, and it became very chaotic once we got on the plane, right? Like you can picture the scene, like all of a sudden people started needing to switch seats on the plane. And all of a sudden everyone started changing whatever. My husband and I were like, okay, you know what, at this point, as long as we're just on this flight, we don't even care where we sit anymore. So I ended up sitting next to the window, and next to me was a little girl. She was about 5 years old, and her mother was next to her in the aisle seat. My husband had the middle seat, but he had the middle seat in the row right in front of me. The woman, the mother, next, with the daughter next to me, she buckles her daughter in and she just falls asleep before we even took off. But the 5-year-old had nothing to do. She had no books, toys, nothing. And so she was like getting some teacher vibes from me, right? And she all of a sudden just turns to me and she starts talking to me. And she just is talking to me the entire flight. And the beverage cart came by, and the flight attendant's pushing the cart. The mother wakes up briefly, just enough to tell the flight attendant, give her daughter some apple juice. So the flight attendant takes an unopened can of apple juice and puts it in a plastic cup and takes the can and the cup and just gives it to the 5-year-old. Okay. So teacher me pours the juice for the girl. She takes a sip of it, spits it out, and then takes her cup and pours it into my cup. There went my drink. And then later in the flight, she grabs my hair and she starts braiding my hair expertly. Like, boom, done. My hair is like in this perfect braid. But the thing I will never forget, as crazy as those stories were, what I will never forget about that flight was towards the very end, we were flying through some really cool clouds. And the little girl leaned over me and she starts looking out the window. Like she's like on my lap looking out the window. And her eyes were just lit up, her face just lit up because just the experience of flying through the clouds, it was a moment that I will never forget. And that excitement and the joy that she had for being able to see something new, traveling, was an experience that I wanted to bring to every kid around the world. Teacher. I've been teaching now for 17 years. I taught 2nd grade and 3rd grade before teaching kindergarten. Just over the years, I just really have enjoyed sharing my traveling experiences with students. But why teach kids about the world? Why, especially young kids, right? Like early childhood, why bother teaching them about the world? Are they too little to comprehend things? Well, when you teach kids about the world at a young age, they learn that the world does not revolve around them. Let's say it again. They learn the world does not revolve around them. It opens their eyes to God's creation. God created, and they develop an understanding, appreciation for different cultures. And they also start to learn how the world works. They learn about different time zones. My students now know that when we're having school, there are kids over in China that are sleeping. They also learn about different seasons. But they know when we're having winter time that there are kids in Australia that are on summer vacation. So it starts opening their minds and expanding them. And it makes them start thinking about other people besides themselves. So you guys did not know before you came in here that you guys are actually going to Cairo, Egypt. Okay? So we're gonna do a little mini passport adventure to Cairo, Egypt. I'm gonna kind of walk you guys through just a little bit with how I do it with my class, how I teach them about the world. All right, now, like I said, we pretend to go there. And if we're going to go there, we have to pack, right? So I need you guys, take your suitcases. Go ahead. Put them on your table. Very good. All right, now you're gonna unzip that suitcase, open it up. Okay, so I want you guys to put these items in your suitcase. Okay, kids are so creative, they're so imaginative. You will not believe the things that they're gonna think of to pack when you start doing this with them. So to start, I want you guys to pack some t-shirts. So go ahead, put some t-shirts in your suitcase. Okay, all right, very good. I had one little girl last week in my class, she told me she was gonna pack 1,000 t-shirts. And I said, honey, that's way too much. She goes, I don't care, I'm gonna pack it anyways. So, all right, you might wanna pack a long skirt. Girls, you might wanna pack a long skirt. Long sleeve shirt, we're gonna be in the desert, it's gonna be hot, you need to keep your skin covered, so pack a long sleeve shirt. Pants, shoes, hat, phone, passport, and anything else. Can you guys think of anything else you might want to pack? Just call it out. Underwear, yes. There's always that one kid that says that. Okay. Sunscreen, things like that, sure, yep, those are all things. So then I give the students a few seconds to pack whatever else they want. So they'll be frantically pretending to pack all these things in their suitcase, and we get ready to go. Okay, but now we're going to take a look. We're going to move on from the Nile River, and we're going to go visit the Giza pyramids now, you guys. We are going to get a closer look at the pyramids, and the way to do that is by riding a camel. All right, now, you guys also didn't know when you came in here that you guys are going to get to ride a camel today. So what I need you guys to do is I need you guys to stand up. I need you guys to take your chair. If you're able to, turn it around. I'm going to give you a second to do that here. When I see that chair is ready. All right, so stand up, stay standing. Sorry, stay standing. Yep. Okay, now I want you to give your camel a little pat on the head. Okay, all right, here we go. This is how I use imagination with my students because kids are fantastic. They've got a fantastic imagination. And if you pretend like you're riding a camel, they will pretend like they are too. So give that camel a pat. Now you're going to swing your leg around here, okay? And you're going to go ahead and you're going to go sit down, okay? All right, is everybody on their camel? Okay, good. Now, what camels do, when camels stand up, they actually stand up with their back legs first. And it's going to feel like you're going to tip over and fall on their head. So you guys have to counter that movement by leaning back into your seats. So you're going to lean back here, now lean forward. Now you're up on your camel. Very good. Wow, and I just got a group of adults to pretend like they're riding a camel. Fantastic. All right, and our students will actually talk about how they got to ride a camel that day. The day I did this lesson with my students, the kids got in the car lane after school, and they're like, Mom, Dad, I rode a camel today in Egypt. And the parents were like, oh, and the parents played into it too. They're like, that's awesome, that's so cool. All right, so using your imagination with the kids will just help them take that to a whole new level. And I have giveaways for you guys. I'm going to be giving 3 of you some bulletin board accents that are of luggage, like suitcases. Christine from Holy Trinity. All right, thank you. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit more movement. It's going to be a little bit more relaxing, and we are going to pretend like we are floating in the Dead Sea. So you guys can keep your chairs how they are, but I do need you guys to stand back up. So stand back up. When you're floating in the Dead Sea, it's very salty, you float, so it's very easy to do. But you gotta be careful with how you get in the water. So you get in the water, okay? And I'm gonna need you guys to just gently sit back down like you're sitting in a chair. So go ahead, sit down in your seats, okay? All right, now what you're gonna do is you're gonna move your arms and your legs around as if you're treading water, just floating around. And what's really cool about floating in the Dead Sea is you stay upright, so it's fun, so you just move around. So I'm gonna have my students, when we do this lesson with them, they're gonna be floating, moving around like this in their seats, as if they're floating around in the Dead Sea. Okay, so good job, guys. Wow, camel riding, floating in the Dead Sea, awesome. Okay, you guys didn't know what you signed up for, did you? All right. I know what some of you might be thinking, like, okay, Trisha, those experiences you've had are great, but I'm not an avid traveler. Well, guess what? You don't have to be. If you have never been anywhere outside of Florida before, that's okay. And there's plenty of different ways you guys can bring that into your classroom and use it with your students. I got some more prizes to give out. This time I'm going to give out 3 prizes, 3 of you, but you're going to need to come up here and you're going to have to answer a question that I ask you. All right. So I'm going to call out all 3 of these names. Don't give them the prize till they answer the question. Thank you. All right. I'm going to need Shannon Brennan. Are you nervous? Don't be nervous. It's okay. Kelly. It's not a hard question. Don't worry.
I'd love to learn about Italy with them.
Italy, very good. Okay.
Oh, I was going to say Italy also.
All right, can't beat that too. Awesome, very good. Okay, ladies, congratulations. Those are your questions. Okay, now that we've given away some passports, it's time for us to actually take a trip. And in my school, the kindergarten flight to China Day has become a thing. And a few years ago, though, I decided, you know what, I want to kind of take this to the next level. And I want my students to learn how long it takes for them to actually fly to China. So I decided to devote an entire school day to pretend like they were flying to China. When we go to China, the night before we have our flight day, I send out a video to parents. It's like a know before you go kind of thing, and they watch this video at home with their kids.
Welcome. If it's been a little while since we left Florida, we're excited to have you back, and we welcome you on board.
All right, so they received that video the night before the big day. When the big day comes, they arrive to school. This is what my classroom looks like. I turn my classroom into an airplane. Get rid of the tables in my class, put them in the back, arrange their chairs like this. When the kids arrive to school, they have to check their backpacks with me. So they each get a luggage tag, put on their backpack. I take their backpack, I put it on a cart, and then they don't see their backpack the rest of the day. Just like you would not see your suitcase when you're going on a flight. I get everybody else on board at school too. So now you might be thinking, okay, in my classroom the entire day, but what about my specials? Don't skip your specials. I love my specials. I need my breaks. You guys need your breaks too. So I recruit my specials teachers to get in on this as well. I always do our Flight to China Day when we have art class because this is our art teacher, Becky. I give Becky a first class ticket so that she can have the chance to come into our classroom, airplane, our section of the plane, teach art with my students, and she does a fun little art lesson with them, but okay. Here are their boarding passes. So on our Flight to China Day, because it takes 2 flights to get to China for us, we have 2 boarding passes. So I do 2 flights with the kids. The first flight we pretend to fly from Fort Lauderdale, which is our home base airport, to Detroit. And then from Detroit, we pretend to go from Detroit to Shanghai. All right, they watch a brief little safety video from me, and then they get ready and get cleared for takeoff. Now, you also might be thinking, Trisha, you're insane. There's no way I'm going to get my kids to stay in the classroom the entire day. Believe me, I know, I get it. And then I tell the kids that at airports, they have places where they can walk around and run around and even play sometimes. And they then go out onto the playground and they have their morning recess time. And I tell them to run around as much as possible, get as much energy out, and then they come back into the classroom and we gear up for our next flight to Shanghai. We watch a video. When you have a tradition in your classroom, it gives your students and the parents something to look forward to each year. Now, at the end of the day, okay, I tell the kids that it's time, that part of the flight where it's time for them to go to sleep, get ready, the lights are off, and I tell them that I want them to pretend like they are dreaming about going home, laying in their own bed, going to sleep, and then dream about waking up and coming back to school. And the next morning when they come back to school, we have arrived in China. So this kid clearly looks like he's fallen asleep, and they come back. The next day, they come back and they retrieve their backpacks. The luggage cart is outside. They find their backpack and they take it. We get a picture, and then they tell me about what their flight experience was like. A stamp in their passport makes this trip complete.
Right. Because it's not official, unless you guys get a stamp in your passport, I'm going to be giving away some passport stamps for you guys too today. Because 4 of you are going to receive a class set of passport stamps. So 4 names, please. All right. So the first name is Tanya Hensel. There you go. Good. All right. Tanya, where's a spot that you think would be fun for kids to learn about? Mexico. Very cool. What about you? Africa. Awesome. And I don't think, truthfully, kids get the opportunity to use their imagination as much as we got to when we were all growing up. And then there was a math lesson that turned into prepping for Dubai. So my class was pretending to go to Dubai that day, but not until later in the afternoon. And so that morning during math class, I was passing out those kinds of cubes for my students because we were doing like an addition lesson. I gave my students 5 cubes. I told them I needed to make them into like a little cube tower. So they did, and so as I'm passing them out to another table though, I noticed that the first table that I had given them to started really goofing off. And they've got their cubes and they're like going like this to each other. And they're going shh, shh in each other's faces. And I was kind of getting a little frustrated because like they were totally being rowdy and like totally acting up. And I was like, girls, what is going on? And they look at me and they go, well, Mrs. DePasquale, it's Friday and we're going to Dubai today. You told us that Dubai is hot, so we thought we needed to put some sunscreen on. I said, you girls are so right. In fact, you know what? Put some on me. And so they pretended to spray my face. And then I said, okay, I think everyone's got enough sunscreen. I think you're good. And so, but that happened in the middle of math class, and it just blew my mind that they had remembered that I had said a couple days before that Dubai was going to be hot. And they remembered that. And so you never know what they're going to remember, what they're going to take from that.